Twilight Princess is a pretty cool game, and I've played this game multiple times, and in fact, I've beaten every version of it. And while they're all just Twilight Princess, which is a good game on its own, there's definitely a worse way to play it, and out of the three versions, I can confidently say it's the Wii version. But why is it the worst version to play the game? Well, let me explain why I find Twilight Princess on the Wii to be the worst version. By comparing it to the GameCube version, for simplicity's sake, since HD just borrows a lot from the GameCube version. Well, who would have guessed I'm nagging on the controls for a Wii game? But I mean, these controls are not great. I make a lot of comparisons to Skyward Sword due to also being a Zelda game with motion controls. Firstly, the swordplay sucks. Unlike Skyward Sword, you just do regular slashes when swinging the Wiimote, so it results in the sword feeling really stiff and unresponsive half the time. In Skyward Sword, even if the motion controls suck, they still feel responsive, and I feel like I'm in control of how I swing. Here I'm just flicking around my controller to slash, and it makes playing the game tiring. Especially since you can feel that it wasn't designed for the motion controls, and rather the button inputs of the GameCube version. Another extension of controls is items, because wow, these are also a chore. The slingshot functions similar to Skyward Sword, so it automatically feels awkward. The boomerang has the same Skyward Sword moving to it, while also feeling really annoying to actually move and make functional on anything. So it feels so much harder to actually put into practice during the Diababa fight and the puzzle for the boss key in Forest Temple. The bow is the same as all the others, but bow, so again it feels awkward. The claw shots. Oh claw shots, how you have fallen. The claw shots kind of suck to use because again, motion controls, but also the multiple moving targets you gotta shoot make trying to use them a drag. And the Star game is also a huge hurdle with them because you're not able to be as precise as you can with the GameCube ones. City in the Sky is a big example of this, where you need to shoot the spinning walls, but you can't latch onto them because it's not as precise as it should be. I won't go on about every item since Ball and Chain and Dominion Rod function the exact same in terms of controls, except they do what they usually would in-game, so it's not much else to talk about. But these motion controls make using the items hell if not Z-targeting. Compared to the GameCube and HD version where you can just use buttons and it makes everything much less painful, including swordplay. And I also want to talk about the item selection itself. You can technically hold 4 items at a time, but the problem is you swap between them on the B button through the D-pad. Now, is it entirely a bad thing? No. Is it annoying? Kind of. In the other versions, you could easily use 2 or 3 items in a quick manner, but here you have to manually press the D-pad as assigned to, then use it, which feels very annoying to do. Also, the item wheel is kind of annoying to use since the motion controls make it so jank to select what you want exactly, and my brain is hardwired to press B, but I won't dock any points since that's kind of a me thing due to playing the GameCube version one so many times, and it's not applicable to everyone. Okay, so this is gonna be about the world and dungeons if you couldn't read. The big difference is that the world is mirrored in the Wii version. It hurts my brain, but it's not something that completely drags down the experience, but the fact they just flipped the entire game instead of changing Link's model is still funny. Though I do find the dungeons a bit more painful here due to controls, and yes, this does technically fall under the controls, but I don't care. The Forest Temple is fine enough, since I think the Yale Boomerang is just a bit harder to use compared to the original, but it still makes some of the puzzles a lot more annoying and some of the combat a bit more annoying, I guess, but not much difference there. Goron Mine's second half is pretty annoying due to the bow being pretty hard to aim correctly from afar, but generally you can hit your targets if you try hard enough. And I would honestly recommend the upgraded quivers, but then you'd have to use the Star game, so don't worry about it. Lake Bed is pretty normal aside from the moving targets that are stupid hard to hit, of course. Okay, yeah, unlike Skyward Sword's claw shots, which were made with the motion controls in mind, these ones are really annoying to be used practically, as I already said, but especially when hitting these targets require enough precision as is, because they're constantly moving, and you have to aim very perfectly to hit them, or else you're not getting on, and you have to wait for them to rotate back so you can try again. Really makes the second half of Lake Bed Temple just more fun than it already is. No shade to Lake Bed Temple though, I actually kind of like Lake Bed Temple. This same thing goes for City in the Sky, but those ones are slightly less annoying because you mostly try to hit large moving walls, which you can, I guess, determine whether they're more accurate or not. I don't know. I mean, they spin around. Those are not very good to hit, but they're also much bigger targets. Pick your poison here. That's all I'm saying. All the other dungeons are good enough for the most part, just more annoyances here and there with their items, but not as bad as the first three in City in the Sky, because Ball and Chain, you're not really hitting small targets. Dominion Rod, their targets are very big, and Spinner doesn't require motion controls. I haven't mentioned the Palace of Twilight nor Hyrule Castle at all yet, but that's because they're basically identical and nothing matters, to be honest. I mean, even if they have the motion control annoyances, but they're not major, unlike the other dungeons. The boss fights do remain the same for the most part, but this is Twilight Princess on the Wii, so there's still some things that very much aren't perfect. Diababa is slightly annoying to hit with the Vomlings because Ook is constantly swinging, and unless you want to risk the Z target, it's pretty annoying. Argarok can be annoying to claw shot onto due to the fact that you have to first aim with the claw shots and then try to hit it before the Z target actually works, but it's still pretty normal, to be honest. And Pyrus is a little more annoying to hit with the bow, but it's not a huge deal like everything with the bow since it's still somewhat accurate, I think. Okay, so this isn't a complaint, this is just something funny that happened to me while playing, so here's my stupidity in action. So I'm playing this through Dolphin Emulator, and while doing this boss fight, my controller's motion controls were not working and I thought it was impossible. So for 4 minutes straight, I tried to kill Morpheal and it wasn't working. Eventually I learned to refresh my controller on Dolphin, and would you look at that, it worked. So that was a funny stupidity moment. So that is basically why I think that Twilight Princess on the Wii is the worst version of the game. And again, this is just my opinion, so if you like Twilight Princess on the Wii more than the other versions, that's completely fine, enjoy it. This also doesn't mean I hate the Wii version, I still had a lot of fun. Twilight Princess is a very great game, still has the great dungeons, great soundtrack, great story, but the controls are less than stellar. But that just concludes how I feel about Twilight Princess on the Wii. So if you enjoyed, comment, like, and subscribe, and the link to the past video is coming never.